build it well, and then you're done, not having to fuss with it like I have for several. Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to another episode of Travis Does Firewood. I think I said it before, but fall is definitely here. We had a downpour last night, so I had to scramble and tarp off some of my piles that are seasoned so they don't get wet. Really the fir and more fir, and then the balance of the spruce over there, and then the fir that I behind that I took for that cord from the last video, and then in here some cedar. This is that hemlock that's pretty fresh and green. I'll get that covered. I think I'm going to use I got this plywood here for free and stuff to kind of build a makeshift roof. I think that's what the plan is. Easier to make a solid roof than just to rely on tarps, because the tarps will make a divot and make puddles, and then it's hard to get to, and they leak. And yeah, I mean, long-term solution, I don't know the long-term solution. I have to cover my wood. I live in the Pacific Northwest. There's just no way around it. It rains too much. Yeah, so I had an idea from Dan at Backwood 40 to give to answer the question: Am I ready? Am I ready for this winter in terms of firewood? I don't know. Like other firewood folk out there, I separate what I split and stack process between for my personal use for my house and to sell. Is different. So worst case scenario, if I am out of wood for my personal wood stove, I can tap into stuff that I would sell. I hate to do that, but we're not gonna go be cold. Let's just say that. So let me show you what I have. This is the balance remaining of the maple that we got. So this was the video. This was the video of the wood that came in that video that I showed. I think it was just me talking while driving about I basically traded maple for a bottle of whiskey. So that's that video. That's this maple here. I didn't burn through all of it last summer. This is the hot heat maple, so I will be using this in the winter. Next to it is my cookie bin that any cookies or small pieces or funky pieces, it's in here. The front is pretty fresh. The back, I tested it the other day. This should be good to go in here. Just have to come around over the wheelbarrow and kind of take it off from the back side here and leave the front, which is going to be a pain, but I wasn't able to fill this up. This full, I think I measured it, was about like 2.5 cords. I think the back side would be the stuff that I would be using, so that's more or less a cord. So I'll be using that first this fall whenever we start burning, which will probably be next month. So that's the cookies, that's the maple. Next to it, this is what I have split this past year. This is better wood. Some of this was that cherry that I think you saw in a previous video that I had to power wash it because it was full of like mud and chicken poop on the outside. So I literally had to I power washed the top of the rounds, the pile, before I split it. So, and there's some other better wood in here. This stuff should be good to go. I haven't tested it, but this would be like my personal use hardwood. So that's that. There's some cherry in here that's not, I need to cut that down, but I don't know if that's dry or not. So I don't know how much is in here. I need to do the measurement, but just from that, I think we should be good. And then if anything, I'll burn some of the smaller fir pieces that I have at the tail end of the winter, going into probably March, if need be. So I'm not too terribly concerned, but I mean, there's only so many hours in the day, and I don't do firewood full time. So, yeah. So as you can see with the maple and the cookies, this is being covered by a giant tarp, which is not ideal. It pools water here. It's just, and there's no wind coming to continually to dry it. And I haven't. This is my temporary solution, which was several months. Now this is almost probably a year old. There was a windstorm late last winter. I had this all covered with this corrugate metal, and windstorm came. It was on, not very well, but it was on and it was functional. But it literally blew it to the back of the woods. And now I have so last night it rained. Today it's going to be sunny, probably 64, I believe. Right now it's overcast and probably 55. I'm going to spend the day to try to bring back this metal over here that rolls and put it up here and make it more structurally sound than just tapping into that one piece and then the back, to have it more so that it's adhered to with what I can. Not sure if I'll take you along on that, but I'll probably stop the camera once in a while and give you an update of the process. But it's a bummer that this maple here in front of us here, this is my specialty hardwood, and I do sell this to one specific customer who burns it in a sauna, and he bought two racks from me the other day, or the other week, and then he messaged me the other day saying that there was literally moisture coming out of the wood, and I was so embarrassed. I apologized, and I wanted to make it right on him. I don't understand. Like, this is totally seasoned, and I told him this is literally wood that I used last winter, and it was fine. It was hot. My basement, my house was very, very warm. The only thing I can think of is water creeping in on the end, and then in here, and then these pallets are pretty close to the ground. I think that these are damaged pallets, and I think water's wicking up from beneath. I mean, it's up off the ground, but it's wicking up the moisture, and that's how it got wet again. So any wood that I'm gonna give that specific customer is gonna come from inside, like in the middle or on the edge. That'll be dry. I will probably test it before I will prepare his next order. Hopefully he'll buy from me again. But yeah, there's one thing I need to protect, this wood. So take the time to do it in a makeshift way that's going to be more semi-permanent and not temporary. My woodshed definitely has been pieced together piecemeal by free or cheap material. I'm not sure the long term of this area, but for the interim, I think this will make do. So I'll get you back in a bit to show you my progress on the roof. All right, the corrugate metal that was right here is all separated and piled over here, ready to go to piece together. Some of it is banged up. There are definitely some holes from the screws that I used, but since it's at an angle, no one's gonna see it from the road, and no one's really behind me. So, it's fine. Holes can be caulked from top and bottom. That should be fine. So this is some good caulk. So now the plan is, I didn't want to take off the tarp prior to looking at the metal roofing, because I want to make sure that was good enough. And then if not, then I have to put back the tarp, to put back on tarp. So now it's going to be taking off the tarp of the cookies and the backside of the maple, and then we'll start building more structure here on the roof to tie in the metal roofing so it won't fly off next time. Again, I'm not going to take you with me. I'm just going to keep you updated on the progress. All right, tarp is off. We're at the point of no return. So I did see a hole in the tarp. So I don't know how long I was leaking, but we had water on top of the cookies right there. So that's a bummer. I'm not sure how wet the cookies got, but now the plan is just to strengthen, put lumber across so the metal roof can adhere to that, and they have posts to support the slats. So granted, I didn't do this before because when I built this, it was empty, and it's kind of high off the ground, and I'm doing it by myself. So now that there's wood in here, was full. I should have done this when it was full. I can climb on top of the wood and use that as like a ladder to do this work. So good time to do it now. I hope it all goes to plan. I have a makeshift idea of what to do in my head. I hope that all works out and does not take too long. So without further ado, let's continue to get at it. All right, that took longer than I expected, but it is what it is. Using old live wood slabs and other lumber, I have created this platform roof for the metal roofing. From the face is 2 feet, so I have 1, 2, 3 to support and to screw down. The weather is definitely changing. I thought it was going to be sunny this afternoon, but the weather person, it's not an exact science. I don't understand why they call it an ology, the study of, but it's definitely a guessing game. But yeah, so I unscrewed the remaining the sheet of thing that remained. I unscrewed it so I could get the lumber under it and support it on the other side. Now I'm going to secure that and in theory place one after one after one. And now that I'm able to kind of climb on top of this with the ladder and the firewood, I hope that this, what's that bee doing over there? Weird. I hope that this will be more secure than last time. So do you want to come along with me? I mean, you can, but do you want to watch this? I think it's interesting, but yeah, maybe a little bit. Okay. All right, well, that took way longer than expected. Probably should have taken you along for a ride, but it is what it is. The roof is on. I did it piece by piece, and then as I did the screws, I did a pilot hole, and then the screw, and then some caulk. So, and then I fill up in the other holes that I had on the roof to seal it up from underside. It's red on top, which is ungodly, ugly. It is sinful, but underside is white, which is fine, and what you see from the road is white, and my neighbors aren't really back there. So now I can take this opportunity to check the underside to see if I see any holes that I need to, that I see daylight. Most of the holes that I see, I've already identified and plugged. So what I did is just, yeah, this is basically scrap lumber and live edge that was not good anymore, and built this structure, which I should have done in the first place. But now doing this, oh, I see a hole right there, other side of that, the east-west board. There's a hole right there. I need to plug that up. That's good. And then I cantilevered out the edge with some support. It's not very pretty. but just so that edge. So I'm more concerned about not weight on top. I'm concerned about the wind. So what I'm gonna do probably is take a 1x4, 1x3 on the edge. This is like a good 4-foot span out from the building. This is just not supported at all. It's just hanging there. One thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a 1x4 on the very edge, all the way across, attach it from the top side, and then put another angle brace on each one of the posts to kind of give it some more rigidity. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing's not pretty, but and it's not too much of an eyesore from the road and from my neighbors, but you got to do what you got to do in terms of getting your wood covered so it can season and stay seasoned. That's the name of the game. I know a lot of folks out there on YouTube and doing firewood don't cover their wood, or when they do, they only cover it for certain months, and when they do, it's only a tarp or like one of these tins roof, and then with some blocks on top. This is more permanent. I feel that this part of this long stretch of woodshed, this is my best one because it's taller. I can stack a good 7 feet high, I want to say, plus it gets good wind. It's still in the shade, but I feel that because I have a lot of wind here, that this maple was able to season very well. I need to get better at stacking up so high, but that will come. Not that big of a deal. So that's it for this project. Even though that literally took me the entire day, I have some small little things to wrap up on this, but I wanted to shoot this real quick of the roof. So I'm happy. Here's what it is in terms of doing repair, maintenance. So when you're ready to do wood, then you have it. So all right, so I'm kind of doing this episode on shelters in like parts of segments as I redo and fix certain things. So back on the metal roof, I got this done and it's looking pretty good. I don't see any leaks from the underside. I don't see any daylight, so I'll go back up there and fix it. But definitely not perfect. I'll use lumber. I'm gonna put a post here to support this. Obviously, when you're running these boards, the bottom one wants to be on end, like 2x4, and then usually you have like 1x3 or 1x4 utility going this way to a screw or to adhere the middle roofing to, but that's not the case. So it is what it is. So a post right there probably. Then I had it cantilevered out a little bit on the edge here, and then some bracing. Again, does not look pretty, but yeah. And then I don't know if you can see this or not, on the very top I have like a 1x4 at the very edge to give it some rigidity along the whole thing here, and then these braces coming down so the wind in theory won't take it and go. So I feel that that is robust. So we're gonna leave that as is. Had my daughter the other day help me. We finished up stacking the cookies here, so the front is still wet, and then we'll use that burning soon, and then the remnants of the cookies are here. Anyway, back to shelters. When I built this years ago, it was in stages, like different parts, and I added and on that back there, and then this part and that part are the newer ones, and under here is metal roofing, under here metal roofing, all of this, and then a different kind of metal roofing, and it was used, so it was all banged up and usable, but some holes in it. When I built it, the pitch was like this, so to the point where I had to like duck under the roof to get it. And then all the water when you're walking near it is gonna like drip on your head or your neck. It wasn't well thought out. That and the airflow, because the tree line is right there. So I think it was last summer I spent some time with like jacks and boards, and I adjusted the pitch. It went from this now to this. Now there's more up and ended. And then that would help the water shed to the backside and not on my face when trying to enter here. But the metal roofing was still leaking because it would like harbor leaves and they would sit and leak. So what I ended up doing is, I mentioned before, went on one of those used billboard websites, and I bought a massive tarp. Let's go up here and check this out. Massive tarp spans the entire top of this shelter, and I have some old live edge holding it down, and that more or less is keeping it dry. So not ideal, but I think it's doing its job, and it's good lengthwise, but widthwise it's kind of flapping in the back there. So I need that white part is where you would see the design or the advertisement. The backside is black, which is what you see now, right? But that's kind of flopping, so I need to have that come up so there's more airflow in here. So one more thing to do. So I like metal roofing. I think it's ideal. It's just expensive when you buy it brand new. So it all depends on how much money you want to devote to it. But time versus money, that you buy the materials brand new, the wood, the metal, roofing, whatever you want to do, and you do it once and you do it well, it's done. Whereas me, trying to be as cost effective as possible, but that's not saving me time. Having to alter this shelter again and again, and then almost to abandon it now because now wood won't dry here. So I think it's best to have a well thought out plan, and to make a shelter that's going to keep your wood, to get it seasoned and keep it seasoned, right? So let's move on to the next shelter. So I believe you've seen, remember this pile of fur from previous video, maybe in the background. I didn't do a step-by-step process, but the other day I broke down and I built this shelter. So I added a pallet in the middle and each end to kind of go up, and then there's like a tractor supply store, or like they sell tractor parts, like lawn mowing tractor, and the parts come in pallets and kind of boxes. So I kind of pieced them together, made runners up there for the roof support system, and then I got some plywood from the local cabinet shop, and that's what you see under there, more or less. That was it's all free. And then I think I'm going to put some bracing here and here so it's not going to sag. So that's that part. And then covering this before was a regular tarp, a pretty thick but new, and I put that on top. So I screwed it in with washers around, flopped it over. So let's check this out here. It has a slope to it. So that goes down there, and then this other pile behind it, I had a tarp on it too. So I took that edge of that tarp and then I secured it with washers and screws along the way. So this is the top part, and that's the other one, and that just goes down at an angle, tied down, so the wind won't get to it from both ends. And that seems to be working. Then the tarp on top then go all the way, so I have another tarp to kind of continue it, so the plywood on top won't get wet. It's gonna shear off. Some wetness here, but that should not be that big of a deal. So I guess I still get some airflow for this pile, definitely in this pile here. So that's good. So I think the main thing here, since I'm close to the road, that this shelter doesn't look like garbage. It's not pretty, but it doesn't look like hell. And then in the back here, I'm using an old pool to cover up the back. Now you don't really see this from the road. You may see this corner right here maybe, but these work really good for tarps, but again, they're not very attractive on the eye. So turning around the other side, the cedar is just covered regular with tarps, so I may just leave that like that over the season. I don't know, I think maybe ideally have like some boards across, so because right now you have a bunch of like pools of water in it, like collecting, and so that when you go to grab wood, all the water's going to go on you. So 8 flat surface would be ideal, perhaps. Another pool use for some cedar for kindling. So I mean, obviously there's a bunch of ways that you can cover your wood, either to get it seasoned and or to keep it seasoned. This hemlock is not covered yet because it's pretty green. I know this will not be ready for this fall winter season, but I want to get that's be the next wood to cover before I start it to hack into to start to split any more wood, because I got this spruce and then I got that cedar and the apple that I need to get that up off the ground. The cookies that were here are the ones that we stacked yesterday, but yeah, so this will be the next one that I cover. I'll do something similar to that one over there, but I think I need to support in the middle of these top braces here so they don't sag, because that's not ideal wood that I use there. So I think to each their own, but for sure airflow, sun, and no moisture, no wetness. And again, I don't think that people in my area in the Pacific Northwest can not afford to cover their wood. I think it has to be covered because it's going to get wet, because we have literally weeks where every day is raining. And then if you have seasoned wood and it rains for days upon days, storms, then it's going to get wet again, and then therefore it's not dry. So I think it has to be covered. So that's my 2 cents on shelters, on covering your wood. So I feel that there's a whole bunch of ways to cover it. You see a lot of people out there just with tin roofs with some logs on it, and they call that good. And then when you want to access it, you take it off, you take your wood off, and then you're done. Yeah, so you do what you think is right, and then but here's some ideas that I've done, and I think it looks okay, and not too much time. I mean, granted, the free materials and free wood is good, but again, like I said before, if you go out, if you have the money, buy good materials and build it once and build it well, and then you're done. Not having to fuss with it like I have for several years. But I have an idea. So Adam over at Hometown Acres had a video recently. He was talking about how much cordage of wood that he sold thus far, and early in the fall season. Literally, fall was a few days ago, and he had his IBC tote cages full of a third of a cord. It was heaped and dumping it into his trailer, but I saw in his supply that he had taken the actual IBC plastic and cut the top off and used this. So he just cut like right here along the whole edge and take this off, and then he used that as a roof to cover the wood. Granted, the wood in the middle will be fine, but on the edge, since this is not going to cover here, because this tote fits in the cage, right? Like this whole barrel, this bucket piece, the holder of liquid goes inside here. So this edge, even with this cut, it will fit to like right there, not over here. So the wood on the outside would still get wet. So I may try that, but I have another idea. Along with these, I have a bunch of these, and I don't use them. I have at least 2 around, and several cages. I have an idea. If we cut the top and the bottom off and use those as like a like a roof for the cages at one of the corners, so then the top and bottom are gone, right? Then at one of the edges, cut it down, so then you have 4 sides. Why not lay that flat and then do that again on another one, and then kind of like stair step it, kind of like comp shingles, or like right here where you have like one overlapping the other. Couldn't you do that with these totes and have like one over the other and use like self-tapping screws maybe into like a 1x4 below it? I hope I'm making sense, but this is some thick stuff, almost bulletproof. And if you had that on like a shelter, like a building above wood, that would work. But I'm not sure it would bend. You had to cut it right at this corner here, right below it, so then when you lay it flat, this would lay flat. I don't know. I'm willing to try. So I may do a part B on this and try that idea. Probably use one of my older jacked up chainsaws to do that. A sawzall would work, but it would be a lot funner with the chainsaw, right? So I may do that in the future, experiment on that. Obviously I need to build a shelter to attempt to do that roof. I think that would be interesting. I don't think I've seen that happen, but let me know your thoughts in the comments if that's even possible, if I'm even making sense, if the hairbrand ideas is crazy, or you're like Travis, you are onto something. Let's see that happen. So I want to know your comments. So this is my little spiel on shelters. I hope it all makes sense. Let me know if I'm nuts, but again, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your viewership, and I'll see you next time.